it's Pam with 44 Marketplace and Creative Finishes by Pam. And tonight we're going to do something a little different. This is a custom piece. And we are in my paint booth, so you can hear the ventilation system. Sorry about that if it bothers anybody. But this piece is for a customer that I've done several things for. So it has to at least give a nod to the other two pieces that are going to be in the room that I've already done for her. It was white and very, very messy. It had to have a lot of sanding because somebody had painted it without making sure they didn't have brush strokes. So we had big brush strokes on it. So it had a lot of sanding, and it's already got 2 coats of drop cloth on it because that's what she chose. And it has all of this beautiful detail. Hey, Jerry. Hey, Harless. Hey, Jackie. It has all of this beautiful detail, which, as you can see, the part that's still drop cloth, it just disappears. But you can see the part that I started on today to make sure this is what I wanted to do, because she also has pieces in this room that are family pieces that have not been painted or anything. They're still the original stain. So we decided that she would like to have some Dixiebell Van Dyke Brown glaze on here. And as you can see, this one to this one, what a difference, right? So I'm going to show you guys how we decided to glaze this to get this look. You guys like my apron. Dixiebell likes my apron too. So if you guys get a chance, please help us out. But I did want to show you, there's lots of different ways that you can glaze. But to get this look, I'm going to show you how I do it. I just wanted you guys to see, and I'm going to explain to you what we're going to do to this lip and to this edge and to these inside edges and outside edges to get the look that we're going for. Because we definitely have a specific look that we're going for, and we considered transfers on the top of this, but this already has so much going on that I think transfers would take away from the natural beauty of this. This one is a Lane cedar chest, and if yours has a lock, please remember, Lane cedar chests are made to be airtight, okay? So if yours has a lock on it and you're selling it, or even if you're just going to keep it in your home, be mindful, especially if you're selling it, you have to disable the lock, or you can reach out to Lane and they will send you a new lock, so that if it only locks, if the only way to release the lock is on the outside, you have to replace that because so many children have smothered in them. So just an FYI for you furniture flippers, DIYers that are out there, if you've got a Lane cedar chest, reach out to Lane and they'll send you another lock. This one is disabled, as you can see. I can just lift it up. Somebody removed it years ago, she said. So, all right, so we're going to get started on this. And like I say, we are using Dixiebell Van Dyke Brown Glaze. And yes, I have a huge thing of glaze because I do a lot of glazing. Hey, Misty. Hey, Billy. When I glaze, I always like to have something to offload. I use cardboard. Dog food trays are my specialty. I love my Dixiebell round brush. This is my large round. I love it when I am doing pieces like this for the glazing because it gets all in the creases and crevices. I was using this earlier, so I got to make sure it's not too wet. So typically what I do is I go ahead and I offload a little bit because I want a little bit up inside my brush. I like it about up in there so that I can get it in all these details. And it doesn't matter if you get it a little bit on this frame around here because we're going to wipe it back with a baby wipe. And this does have 2 coats of Dixiebell drop cloth as well as a coat of Dixiebell satin clear coat. On the top, I'm going to finish it up with gator hide, but the satin clear coat gave me what I wanted for this. So that's what we're going to do. Now, it looks like a hot mess when you're doing it, but to me, I just want to make sure I get some down in all of these beautiful, beautiful details and crevices. If I get in your way, I'm sorry, but I've got to be able to see what I'm doing. Have you guys ever tried Dixiebell Van Dyke Brown Glaze? I know a lot of people are afraid of glazes, but I'm telling you, if you go ahead and clear coat your piece before you glaze it, it just really makes it so easy to glaze. And especially if you use my little trick with the baby wipes, you'll see. And I'll tell you, to me, a big part of glazing is the wiping back portion, because you've got to know which direction you want to wipe it back, how much you want to wipe it back, and that kind of thing. And I like to let my glaze sit for just a minute or two before I start wiping back. I want it to kind of start tacking up a little so it will stay in the places I want it to stay. All right, that looks pretty good. Excuse me. All right. Now, usually what I do, especially on these that have a little bit of a frame, I take my finger and put it inside the baby wipe and just kind of try to get some of this out. We are going to go back and do like a dry brush glaze with it, a dry brush application, but for right now we don't want to have huge globs of glaze everywhere, so I like to just take it and put my finger in there and just wipe it back. Now, you'll probably have to move your finger around a little bit because, you know, the glaze will build up on it, but I'll tell you, and of course I don't get any kickback from it, Sam's Club has the best baby wipes, and you guys know I have a whole busload of grandkids. I have 6. My 7th one is due in October, so we were going to have our 6th little boy, and we have our 1 little girl. So, and I know some of you guys have said something about being able to wipe the paint off, or you do a scratch test. I don't do scratch tests on my piece because every time I paint it, I don't want to scratch the paint off. I'm not really sure why people do those, but more power to you if you do. But, all right, so now we've got this done, and you can see it beside the one, and you're thinking, holy crap, what did she do, right? So, I don't know if you can say that on an online video, but, so now when you start wiping back, you only want to hit these high points, okay? You're just hitting the high points. That's what you're taking the glaze off of. You're not trying to get it all down in the creases and crevices. You want to leave that glaze there, so you're going to use your baby wipe, and you're going to wipe these high points. Now, it may get dirty fast because I went heavy with the glaze to get the look that I want, and you may have to wipe back a couple of different times, but you definitely want to just make sure you get it wiped back. If you're going for a cohesive look so that they all look the same, then you want to just compare them to the one beside them. If you've ever watched me, you know I'm not really about symmetry. I think it's more about the organic look, and I kind of know what I'm going for because, like I say, this is not my first piece that I've done for this customer, so I know kind of what she likes. So that's what we're going for with this piece. And it really doesn't take that long to wipe it back. And keep in mind, as it dries, you are going to notice that it kind of dries a little darker, it seems like to me. So the more you wipe back, the less you're going to have in all these creases and crevices. And the whole point of this is so that it makes it stand out. Because now you can see this one as opposed to this one. So we're going to do these other 3. So I painted and then I clear coat. I don't wax a top coat. If you've ever watched me, I'm not a big fan of wax as a top coat. And that's just a personal thing. I know a lot of people like it. But wax as a top coat typically doesn't hold up really well. So I'm not a waxer. I usually use gator hide as my top coat. But I like to have a do-over with my glazes. So I paint and then I top coat. And then I'm going to show you guys, after this dries a little bit, I'm going to show you the dry brush method that I do to enhance the details around it. Isn't this a pretty chest? You should have seen the other ones that I did for her. They were gorgeous. We put a textured wallpaper on the top of them. They actually originally had leather on the top, but it was in terrible condition. And I know you guys have seen some of those that the leather is just beyond saving. So what I did was I actually applied some Dixiebell paint to give my wallpaper something to stick to, and I put textured wallpaper on there. And then we put gilding wax over the top of it and highlighted the detail with it after we painted over the wallpaper, and it really turned out well. If you follow me at 44marketplace.com, you can see it. All right. You just want to make sure when you're doing this that you get it in the creases and crevices, okay? This is Van Dyke Brown Wax over Dixiebell Drop Cloth. And I know in the video from my end it looks a lot lighter than drop cloth, but it is drop cloth. There are 2 coats of drop cloth on here. All right, so you can see how quickly you can put it on. And it really doesn't take that long to wipe it back. So while we're waiting on that one to go, we're going to go ahead and get started on this one. I don't want to bore you guys to death. If you guys have questions, let me know. Hey, Jennifer, all the way from Wyoming. How's your weather? Does everybody have burning hot weather like we do right now? It was 90 some odd degrees today. I mean, woo, wow. I got to tell you, wow, wow, wow. It was super hot. All right. Can you guys tell what a difference this makes? I mean, it's amazeballs what it does for this piece. Because when it's all just drop cloth, all of these details are lost in the monochromatic slate. But if you highlight them, it's just amazing the difference it makes. And like I say, you can always just put a little bit of glaze on here and just do a little bit of highlighting. But this customer, she wants all of these details to show up. And to me, getting it all down in there and wiping it back, it really doesn't take very long to do it. So it's real easy to get it done. And then I'm going to show you how we're going to do the rest of it. All right, so we got this one. It's ready to be wiped back. And like I say, I like to start on these edges. And just stick your finger down in the baby wipe, and it should settle right down in there. And then you can get back any of your boo-boos. And because you've got it clear-coated, it's not settling down into your coat of paint. So it just wipes right off. It's amazing how well it just wipes right back. And like I say, we're going to go back in and add some of this back in there. But we just don't want it so heavy around the piece. And it's much faster and easier to me just to kind of dab it on and then wipe back anything that's necessary. And as you can see, it does not pull the paint off. A lot of people have put on the board that they've had issues with the paint coming off when they're wiping back. I'm not really sure if you're not cleaning well or something, but as you can see, I mean, mine, I'm not gentle ever. And I'm just wiping it back. I'm wiping it out of the crevices. I'm wiping it off the edges. And I'm not having any problem with the paint coming off. So I'm not really sure. But if you do have a problem with it, hit me up on Facebook, and I'm happy to look at it and see if there's something I can do to help you. And keep in mind, if you rub with the crack and crevice, you can rub some of the glaze out. So if you're wanting to leave more in, rub across it. Rub across the grain, and that way it leaves more in there, okay? Oh, we have humidity, we have a lot, and we haven't had rain in like a month. And then I have friends who are getting inundated with rain. So it's kind of crazy right now. Okay, so now you can see in some of these little areas, there's a little bit more than I want. Just stick your baby wipe up in there and move it around and that kind of thing, and it'll pull it right out. Because we are going to go back in and we're going to add a little bit back in on these edges because we don't want it to look like a stark contrast. When you're doing these kind of things, you really want to make sure you have kind of an overall effect. And I'm not going to bore you by doing the whole thing for you, but I've got to let that one dry a little bit. All right, can you guys see what a difference it makes? Okay, I think that one's dry enough. Now, once I get to the point that I want to add a little bit more detail, no, this is Van Dyke Brown Glaze. And yes, I'm using it out of a 16-ounce jar, but it comes in a 4-ounce and an 8-ounce. I just use a lot of glaze. All right, so you can see my brush. I want you to be able to see it, okay? It is a Dixiebell large round, and when I get ready to do my details, I like to have glaze up into my brush because I'm going to put it on the sharp edges. And the way I do that is I try to offload as much as I can onto my cardboard, and then I'm going to just drag it along these sharp edges, And I'm going to do the same thing up here. Because what you're wanting it to do is make it look like this piece is distressed without actually going through your paint. Okay? So I'm going to drag it on these sharp edges, and I don't know if you can see what a quick difference it makes just dragging it on those sharp edges, and you want it perpendicular to your sharp edge. So typically what I do is I drag it along the inside edge and the outside edge. So I get a faux distress line on both of them, and I just kind of do it willy-nilly, because you know how distressing is. You don't want it just completely distressed. You want a little bit. And then I just do what I call butterfly kisses on these edges down here, so that I get just a little bit of the glaze. I don't want a lot of glaze. I just want a little bit of the glaze down here in these crevices along the edge. And again, put it perpendicular to what you're trying to do, and it'll leave like a little line for you. And it gives it just a little distressing. And then if you'll drag it back and forth, but only have just the very, very tips of your brush touching it, so that it just picks up like your high points and your low points. And you want to make sure that you just barely do it. Now, if you want more glaze on there, by all means, do it. This is a water-based, so you don't need to add mineral spirits to it. And our paint is water-based. You can use watered-down paint as a glaze, but I got to tell you, for this piece, the Van Dyke Brown is absolutely stunning for it. Most of the paint that I use is water-based, just for the ease of cleanup, because I don't know if you guys have watched me, but I actually got a new sprayer in from Graco, and it is the bomb diggity. It's right here behind me. And, all right, I'm going to bring you guys in close so you can see how I'm doing this. If I don't drop you on the ground, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make everybody drunk. Okay, so I've got to finish wiping this one back in just a minute, but I want you to see, when you get ready to do this, you're just kind of dragging it on the edge. Can you see that dark line that it makes? I'm going to wipe this back a little bit. All right, we're going to wipe this back before it starts drying. I think it's already trying to dry up. But that way you guys can see what a difference it makes. If you're in a climate where it's a little cooler, it probably doesn't dry as fast on you as it does on me, but it dries quick in here. And that way you guys can see. You've got to run your finger down this edge so you guys can see a little better. I got you right up here. I hope I'm not screaming your ears off. If so, I'm sorry. All right. And then you just want to clean this edge out a little bit. And like I say, when you're wiping, your paint should not come off. If you did proper prep, it should not come off. But the good thing about putting the clear coat on there, you won't have the blotchiness. Yes, that is correct. The clear coat gives you kind of a do-over. The clear coat allows you to do it again. So that's why I like this. I can wipe it off and it'll come right off. If you get too much on there, you can also spray a little bit of water and it comes off really well that way too. And you just wipe back as much or as little as you want. And can you guys see that this has a little bit of a grain, a faux grain in it? Because it's not actually, it may have some wood in there, but some of it is a little like plastic. And so it has a faux grain in there, which makes it great if you're wanting to highlight that. I mean, it's amazeballs. This piece is one of the prettiest laying chests I've worked on in a while. And I've worked on several of them lately. So you guys can see what a difference that makes. It really just, no, I spray most of my top coats and my base coats. So this was actually sprayed. I sprayed 2 coats of drop cloth and I sprayed a coat of satin clear coat. And I sprayed the top coat today. Oh, It's crazy hot here. All right. So you guys can see. And now, because this has the clear coat, I can wipe back for a little while longer. So if I see something else I don't like the way it looks or whatever, and like I say, we're going to go in and we're going to do this. Now I'm going to show you. See how lightly? It's just a little butterfly kiss. And it just picks up the imperfections in the wood and gives it a little bit of a distressed look. It gives it almost a little bit of a wood grain feel, but it's not enough to make it look dirty. And like I say, drag your brush perpendicular to the sides on the inside and the outside edge, and it gives you a great little distress. And it's pretty quick and easy. All right. So, does anybody have questions? We've got one more to do, and I don't want to bore you guys to death. I appreciate everybody watching. I am Pam with 44 Marketplace, and we're going to do one more, and then I'm going to call it a night. So, everybody who wants to stay on, please feel free to stay on. We're going to do this last one right quick. And, all right. And if you haven't ever tried offloading your brush, you want to do that, and by moving your brush around on your piece, you can actually get your product farther up into your bristles so that you can kind of control where it goes a little better when you are doing your light distressing. It really makes a difference. I had a friend of mine show me that years ago, and I'm going to tell you it made a huge difference. Those of you who follow Paintiques, Lisa Harrison, she told me that probably right after I started, and she is so correct. I've been doing it ever since, and it is amazeballs what you can accomplish, because then you can put your piece perpendicular, and it really makes a great distressing. Have you guys heard about the Bells and Bow tour? We are doing a tour. Our first stop is in Edison, New Jersey in November, and we are super excited about it. Dixiebell is one of our partners. They are our partner, and we have several sponsors. Sinopoly, we have D Lawless Hardware, Prima Redesign, who has fabulous stuff. I don't know if you saw my video last night. And Surf Prep. So we have some great sponsors, and you guys are going to get a lot of good things in your goodie bag. So if you've thought about it, you might want to go ahead and get you a ticket, because it's going to be so much fun. Come on Saturday night and hang out with us, because we are going to have some fun. Dustin and I like to stay up late. So if you're a night owl, you'll love hanging with me and Dustin. All right, we got to go around our lip. Like I told you, this is one of the first things I like to do. And if your other side is still wet, be careful. Because sometimes you can wipe that off. I've done that in the past. I'm a little more careful with it now. All right, so now we're going to wipe this back. And you can see, if you don't let it tack up too much, it's a quick wipe. It goes right off, and it gets me to where I want to be. Can you see these cute little flowers in the center? They're amazing, aren't they? Yes. Dustin and I do like to burn the midnight oil. I don't know where my guy Dustin is tonight. Usually he's on my lives chit-chatting me up. All right, I think he had something he had to do in Florida today. All right, so here we are. We are going to wipe back just a little bit more, because I want this one to have a little less dirtiness. And, you know, if after this dries, you look at it and you think, oh, I wish I had some more in there, layer another coat on there. It's super easy. I mean, it's super easy. Lots of fun. And the difference between this and wax is wax has a much longer open time. So this dries fairly quickly, especially here in the southeast, because it is so hot. My warehouse is climate controlled, but only to a certain point, because when it's 100 degrees almost outside, it is a metal warehouse, and there's only so much you can do. All right, so now I'm going to show you again. We're going perpendicular to this to give it the distressing. perpendicular to the inside edge. We're going to give just a little smush right there. All right, and I want just a little wood grain there. And just like that, you guys can see the entire thing. How about that? So, this is kind of what my customer wanted for her bedroom. And when she's all finished up and I put my final coat of gator hide, I will show you guys. I will post a picture here on this page. And when you're doing these, don't forget this underside edge. It also needs it. You want to be sure that everything looks cohesive and that you've done a nice finished job when you're done. Thanks for tuning in tonight. And if you guys have questions, hit me up at 44 Marketplace.